based systems. Do what?
You consulted Richard Stallman. I'm impressed.
Wikipedia.
Edited.
No, I did a lot of cross-referencing, so I made sure that I was checking my facts. Bye guys, it was great.
Thank you. Thanks.
See ya.
Anyway, I needed to find out what Linux was and what you guys were looking at and what it is that you do. Android is Linux-based, yes. It's an open operating system. So what that means to the end user is options and options and more options. I have people come to me and say, can my phone do this? 9 times out of 10, I'm going to say, you know what, if your phone doesn't do that out of the box, there's probably an application in that market over there that's going to do it for you. I have not found one yet that will make my bed or wash my car, but I'm sure there's somebody out there working on it. The Android market right now is about, at last count, and there's really no official count, but at last unofficial count, was about 80,000 strong. That is strong. That's a lot of applications. 60% of those, roughly estimated, 60% of those are free applications. And I have customers ask me, well, why is that? Why are all those applications free? Well, the reason that the explanation, the best explanation that I could come up with is this. There are a lot of people out there that want jobs. And that is an online resume. If you are a computer programmer, if you are somebody who can write a program or an application, get your stuff on that market. Get it in this user's hands. That is an excellent resume. And that's how people who do that get jobs. They don't get more users if they ask people to pay for it. So that's just a smart business move, basically. And that's why there's so much out there. But the flip side to that is this. There's garbage out there too. There's very poorly written programs, poorly written applications that won't crash your phone, but they'll sure mess it up a little bit. Does anyone have any questions at this point? Okay. It's not too technical what I'm going to get into. Trust me, it's not too technical. What I have customers asking me for is, you tell me what this is going to do for me. What is Android? Well, Android is something that came out of Star Wars. It was a couple of little robots. That's what Android came out from. No, tell me how it's going to help me. Well, it's going to help you because there's always somebody out there figuring out things that you need. They know what you need before you know what you need. And when you go shopping on the app market, oh my God, I can't believe I can do this. Install, download, there's a coupon widget. There's what else, Jace? What are some fun things you found? Shazam. Does anybody know what Shazam is?
Yeah. I used it today, actually.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
Have you ever been in a restaurant or an office or something, or you're driving down the road, and radio stations rarely announce who the title and artist is anymore, and you're thinking, oh, who is that? Who is that? I did that the other day with the Moody Blues song. I couldn't figure out who it was. So I hit the Shazam. I had tag now, and it came back and told me the album and the artist and the music, or the name of the song. That is incredible. So what I find myself doing a lot of times is educating people. I take people from flip phones to smartphones because they don't know how freaking smart those things are. They don't know what they can do. And you really don't know what you need in your pocket until you have it in your pocket and you try to do without it. Now that you're in a smartphone, you'll never be without one, will you? Never. You'll never be without one because you get used to having that access. Same thing as mobile phones. Once you have one, you'll never be without one because you get used to being contacted everywhere. What else? Gosh, I just lost my train of thought now. Sorry, yes?
How would you compare that to, say, I don't know, a Palm Pre?
How would I compare what? The Android operating system?
An Android phone to a Palm Pre phone.
Okay. All right, the Palm Pre is, or the Palm operating system that can be found in several devices on several different networks. The Palm operating system does have applications that can be put on there. Not very many. They're not as intuitive. The Palm operating system can get a little tricky sometimes. It's not the most user-friendly operating system. Palm is excellent at contact management, excellent at calendar management. So if you're a soccer mom with a lot of friends, get a Palm. That's about it. We find that, yes?
I've had a Palm for the past 2 years and I switched to Android. The couple things that I missed from the Palm is the notifications.
Okay.
The way they do notifications are a little bit better than the Android. Popping up at the bottom. And multitasking with the cards. Going from application to application are easier with the cards, with the Palm Pre. The Android, I think overall is better because the one I got was the HTC Evo from Sprint, from Sprint. And with 2.2 Froyo, you get full Flash support. So whatever website you go to, you get Flash support. And yes, you don't have the sliding keyboard like you do with the Palm Pre, but the on-screen keyboard on mine works great. I don't know if you've heard of Swipe. That was one of my favorite apps. It's not completely out yet, but Swipe is awesome. I did an email in no time flat. It was awesome. Swipe we can talk about later if you want to talk about it. Basically, instead of typing every key, you just swipe between the different keys, and it will recognize and create the words for you. It's very nice. And of course, there's a ton more apps. There's a lot more Google apps. So like Google Navigation, Google Shopper, and different stuff like that. You get a whole lot more Google apps on your Android phone versus your Palm Pre.
What about battery life?
With my phone, I mean, I have a big 4.3-inch display, and I use it a lot. It took me a long time to drain my battery all the way.
And the other one?
Good.
And you had the Palm Pre?
I had the Palm Pre before. That was fine too. I mean, I really didn't have much issue with that either. As far as they're both good battery life. The Palm Pre is a whole lot smaller, but I mean, it's a whole lot. It's a little bit thicker as well because it's a sliding keyboard on the Palm Pre. This one of course is going to be bigger because it's a bigger screen, but it was thinner.
I just read that there were some battery life issues with those. Actually, I was at Verizon yesterday, and the guy's like, "I don't even order Palm Pre's because I have so many complaints about them."
My store doesn't sell them. None of my stores sell them. We opt out on carrying that product in our stores.
I never have an issue, but my thing is if you condition the battery properly and if you know what you're doing, and the user knows what they're doing with their phone, usually will not have issues with battery life unless the OS just really sucks that bad. As far as I know, the Palm Pre does not.
I heard that the hardware
never sucked that bad for me.
Solid with the Palm.
The hardware isn't that solid with the Palm. The new Palm, it feels very plasticky.
Yeah.
It feels very cheap and lightweight.
My HTC definitely feels better than the Palm as far as the design and everything.
And to speak to battery life is going to vary depending on the device that you have. It varies between the devices, and it's based on a lot of different things. It's based on exactly how the user is using their phone. I've had people come to me and say, I can't get 2 hours worth of battery out of my phone. And I take one glance at it and realize, well, Dodo, it's because you're on the brightest screen, your timeout is at 10 minutes, and you're running your Wi-Fi, the whole time. Let's just make these adjustments. You come back and see me in 2 days and tell me how it's changed. A lot of things the user can do to manipulate the battery life. A lot of things. The great thing about the Android operating system is that it gives you a battery life widget. It lets you know exactly what is using your battery. Of the portion of the battery part that has been used, it will tell you 48% of this has been the screen, the display. Another 30% has been the operating system. 10% has been that movie you were watching. It'll tell you what you're doing to drain your battery. And conditioning your battery is pretty important. You have to know when to charge it. Yes?
Yeah, it seems like signal strength has something to do with it too. If you're in a place where you're not getting a good signal, it seems to drain it.
And that concept applies to everything, not just Android phones. That applies to all mobile devices. If you're in an area on a network that doesn't have good coverage in that area, your mobile device is going to drain very, very quickly. I have some customers that work in metal commercial buildings here in Greenville, and those metal buildings will actually reroute the signal to everywhere but them. and them is constantly looking for the signal. So they say, by the time I hit lunch, I don't have a battery anymore. My phone stinks. And I say, no, your workplace does. But it's paying for you to have that phone, so I'm not going to say that out loud. No, they understand. Once I explain that to them, a light bulb goes off. Okay, I get that. That makes a lot of sense. And when things start making sense to you, you kind of are okay with it. Yes.
I was just going to say, if you have a Wi-Fi signal in an area where you're having bad signal strength, instead of using your data plan, using the cell network, try to use your wireless. That will actually help battery life. Because it has to work harder. The battery does. Get a good signal strength to actually use the data plan for your cell network. So
Yeah.
that's where wireless.
Well-
The
technology
thing
could
that
take.
takes the extra power is the transmitter in there. The transmitter power is stepped up when you're in a weak signal area.
I actually had that very experience this weekend. I went whitewater rafting in the Upper Gauley River in West Virginia. And up there in West Virginia, if you look at an overlay map of all the 4 major networks, there is no coverage in the area that I was in. It's all white. No coverage from anybody except for US Cellular. And so I was using US Cellular to talk and text, but I was on this great big compound, this expedition compound, and they had Wi-Fi in their lodge. So I sat outside, used my device to log on to their Wi-Fi signal, and I was able to surf the web that way, which is kind of cool. And people ask me whenever, like the newer BlackBerries are actually Wi-Fi capable, and saying something is Wi-Fi capable doesn't give it justice. You don't really know what that means. How is that going to help me as an end user? Before this weekend, I said, how many people actually use that? I do. I do now, and now I know. When you're in an area that doesn't get good signal from your 3G coverage or your data coverage, the Wi-Fi capability of a device is really fantastic. And Wi-Fi capability doesn't, I have a lot of confusion on that. When something is advertised as being Wi-Fi capable, you gotta really ask one more question. What exactly does that mean for that particular device? Because now we have Android phones that can Wi-Fi tether, which means not only are they capable of bringing in that Wi-Fi signal, latching onto it for their use, for their incoming use, they can actually put out a Wi-Fi signal, and you can tether other devices. Jace can, if I didn't get, for some reason, if I was on a different network and I wasn't getting any signal on my phone, let's say I didn't pay my phone bill, and I can still power it on because I paid my power bill. Jace has paid his phone bill. His phone will Wi-Fi tether to mine, and I can latch onto his signal if he gives me his password. But we've been friends a while, so I think he will. That's how that works. So, not all devices can send out a Wi-Fi signal, but the newer devices that are coming on the market can actually receive a Wi-Fi signal. So there's a lot of confusion with that. When people ask me, is this one Wi-Fi capable? Yeah. But what exactly are you trying to do with the Wi-Fi signal? That's pretty important.
Basically, you're either saying it's Wi-Fi single signal to receive in and out. If you say MiFi, which is a multiple signal, like in a hotspot connection, what Jason's trying to turn into a miniature hotspot.
That's right. If he turns on his Wi-Fi tethering, he is a walking hotspot.
Mm-hmm.
Who
He's
didn't
that
know
way.
that?
Who knew?
Who knew?
After this weekend, a lot more people.
Whoa.
What can I say, you know?
One of the things too, whenever one of the questions that we get that I get at Verizon, if I had a nickel for every time I got this question, I'd be rich and I wouldn't be working. And it was, so when are y'all getting the iPhone? Well, I don't know. I came up with a better answer than I don't know. The better answer is nobody really knows. The iPhone isn't going to be launched on the Verizon network the way it is right now. I can tell you that. Verizon network is undergoing a metamorphosis. We're actually going to LTE. Okay. LTE is going to be our next, it's like 3.9G, not quite 4G, okay? Apple is not going to launch the iPhone on the current Verizon network the way it is. So hang tight, you know. But then I have to dig a little further and I ask, well, what is it about the iPhone that makes you want it so badly? And did I ask you that? Did we have this conversation?
I think I remember you saying something
Okay.
like that, yeah.
What is it? What is it about the iPhone that makes you want it so badly? And I liken it to when I was a teenager, I had to have a pair of Converse high tops. Why? Because everybody else did, and that's what was so cool. iPhone was the first